We're holding Daf Hey Amud Aleph, top line Uminayin Shaf B'Shtar. Asks the Brisa continues to discuss the question Uminayin Shaf B'Shtar. From where do we know that a woman can be acquired even through a shtar, through a document? So my answer is V'dinhu. It makes logical sense that a shtar should be koine through Kidushin. U'ma kesef, if I'm money shin moitzi, which we know money cannot divorce a woman. Machnis, but it could betroth a woman, it can mekadosh a woman. So shtar, so then a document shemoitzi, which has the power to release a woman, any din shemachnis, is not logical to say that a husband could be machnis or can bring her into the domain. So the Gemara says malakesev, but l'cheira, money has a very unique approach, and it can affect an acquisition in many contexts. Why? She can pay them by hekdesh ma'aser sheni. Person can redeem it with hekdesh ma'aser sheni. Are you going to say this in regards to shtar, which can't be paid in ma'aser sheni? As the pasuk says, and he will give the money, and it will be assured to him. So this halacha cannot be derived by svara because kesef has certain unique qualities. So the Gemara answers, Amar Kra, the pasuk says, v'yotza v'heisa. The pasuk says, and she leaves his house and becomes another man's wife. In the same pasuk, Makish Havoya Liyitzia, the Torah juxtaposes becoming, which is Kidushin, to leaving, divorce. Ma Yitzia b'shtar, just like when a person has to get divorced is through a shtar, Af Havoya, so too becoming is also Namin b'shtar. So Gemara says, okay, V'akish Nam Yitzia la Havoya. So why don't you compare Yitzia to Havoya? The Ma Havoya b'kesef, Hav Yitzia b'kesef, so too through leaving, l'chayra should be affected through money. So Abaya says, Yemru kesef machnes kesef meitzi. If so, people are going to say money brings in, money releases, and saneger ye'asa kateger. So can an advocate become a prosecutor? It's improper for the same mode that draws man and woman together to be used for the determination of their relationship. So the Gemara asks the obvious question, so to a document, people will say, shtar meitzi, a document brings in, shtar meitzi, machnes, a document releases, kateger yasa kisaneger. So a prosecutor could become now an advocate. So the Gemara answers, mili dehayshtar lechud and mili dehayshtar lechud. At the end of the day, the words of the Kidushin document are distinct. And the words of the divorce document are also distinct. In other words, the two documents differ in content. So the Gemara asks, Hai kasba l'chayid, v'hai kasba l'chayid. Here too, this money is separate, and this money is discrete. As one coin is for the Kidushin, and one coin is for the divorce. So the Gemara answers, Tiva miya chadhu. The actual coin itself is one. In other words, there's no noticeable difference between the coin used for Kiddushin and, so to speak, the coin that will be used for divorce. The same cannot be said with regards to Ashtar, as the texts serve specific purposes, and the same document cannot be used for both Kiddushin and Gerushin. Rav Amar Rava says the halacha that a woman cannot be divorced by means of money is derived from a different makar. Amar Kra, the pasuk says, because of law, and he writes for her. In other words, which tells me, b'chsiva miskadeshes, that dafka, a woman is divorced through writing, v'ina miskadeshes b'kesef, and is not through money. Why do you say that she's divorced through writing, and she's not mikudeshes through writing? The pasuk says, because of law. So but we have the pasuk says, and she leaves and becomes, which juxtaposes the Kiddushin and Gerushin, indicates that Kiddushin can be affected with a shtar. So the Gemara says, Amara Isa, and what did you see that you interpreted the psukim in this manner? In other words, a person could say the exact opposite, that the putting the juxtaposition between the Kiddushin and the Kiddushin and the Gerushin, it teaches that in both cases money is effective. And while the pasuk, because of law, means that she can be divorced but not mikudeshes through writing. So the Gemara says, Mistabra koy b'Kiddushin or ma'is b'Kiddushin. Makes sense to say that it's referring to when the pasuk refers to divorce, it excludes a different mode of divorce. Koy b'Kiddushin or ma'is b'Kiddushin. Would a pasuk be referring to divorce excluding a Kiddushin? Now, the Gemara asks that basically, according to basically the Dapik Leila Haikro Drashachino, who learns this pasuk, who learns this exposition from the pasuk, from where does he know that a woman cannot be divorced through money? The pasuk says, What does it mean, a scroll of krisos? Sefer Kursiv in the Racha Kursiv, it teaches us that a star severs her from her husband and nothing else severs from him. Rabbanan, according to the Chachamim, what do they do with, they disagree with Rabbi S Greenwald, what do they do with the pasuk of krisos? They require that the halacha, that a document of divorce must be a matter that's entirely severs him from her. In other words, the text of the Gittin must completely terminate the relationship between them. Kidushin, as we learned in a Braisa, if a person says to his wife, this is your get on condition that you will not ever drink wine, on condition that you will never go to your father's house, and these are krisos, this is not an act of krisos. If it's all 30 days, then, or for 30 days, then has a krisos, this is condition. So the Chachamim learned the term. So the Chachamim learn that the term krisos, then any like indefinite condition prevents the Gittin from taking effect. So the Gemara asks Rabbi S Greenwald, from where does he learn the requirement that a get must completely sever the ties between husband and wife? So the Gemara answers, Mekaris krisos kanafkale. He learns it out. Mekaris krisos. Mekaris krisos le'mashmale. So the Gemara asks, can we show that one mode of Kidushin cannot be derived from another mode of Kidushin, as explained in the Braisa? But why not let one be derived from two methods? Which method will be derived from the other? So maybe you're going to say, let the Torah not read by shtar, and I'm going to learn out from the Bia and Kesef. So the Gemara says, over there, these modes, their benefit is great. It's relative to the doctrine, as the woman experiences no enjoyment upon receiving the shtar. So, and if you're going to say, let the Torah not write about Bia, and one could derive this mode from these modes, money and shtar. It's also not possible, because what's unique about these modes of Kidushin is that their acquisition is great. In other words, these modes of acquisition apply in many other situations. Therefore, one cannot derive the unusual kinyan of Bia from these other methods. So the Gemara says, so let the Torah not write anything about money, and one could derive these modes from the other modes also not, because over there, these modes are Bal Karcha. In other words, a Yavam acquires Yavama through Bia, even against her will, while a Shtar releases a woman from marriage without her consent in the case of Gittin. And if you're going to say also that money also applies in regards to against her will, in the case of Ivria, whose father can sell her to a Odin without her consent, which enables one to therefore derive from the other two modes of Kinyan, Bia and Shtar, that a woman can be acquired through money. So this is also not, could be refuted. Why? Because with regards to marriage, we don't find a case that a woman can be acquired through money against her will. So none of these modes of Kinyan can be derived from any of the other. It says that which we brought this down a little bit, and now we're going to expand it. So according to Ravuna, chuppah can be koine Kidushin from a kal v'chemer. If money which does not enable the woman to partake of truma. As the daughter of a non-kohen who's mekudesh to a kohen cannot eat truma, however, but it could be koine. So chuppah shemachas b'truma, we know that chuppah which enables a woman to partake of truma. So once a woman has entered into chuppah, it is permitted for her to partake of truma due to her husband being a kohen. Any din shetikna, should it also not affect that acquisition by a woman by her husband? So more says v'kesav ein Michael, and does kesef Kidushin v'kesav ein Michael? The Torah says that if a kohen buys any soul, the acquisition of the money, he may eat it, and this woman is considered acquisition of the money. So what's the reason why the Chacham said that she may not partake of truma? Because the Chacham are aware that perhaps they will pour her cup of truma wine in her father's house, where she's staying before her marriage, and she will give Their brothers and their sisters to drink, it's usher for them, which is usher for them to partake of truma. So minatera, a woman may partake of truma once she has been mikudeshes with kesef. So the above kalvachemer that entered by a chuppah can affect the kiddushin is the chair. It's not a good pircha. Parachachi. Rather, Rav Huna, you have to read as a makes or a gamer of money, which does not complete the acquisition of a woman, as a woman remains under her father's authority with regards to certain issues. But kaina nevertheless affects acquisition for her to be mikudeshes. Chuppah shegemera, so the cheda is not logical to say the chuppah, which is gamer and he didn't tikna, does not make sense that it should be tikna. So the Gemara rejects and says malakesh came paid in behekdeshes ma'aser sheni. So the Gemara says bi'et. So weiter malabiyash can be vama kesef v'chich because radin lerizek. So you're going to go back and forth. You're going to go in a circle over here. So what's the common denominator? The common denominator is that they generally affect acquisition, and they affect acquisition here. Likewise, I will bring the mode of a wedding canopy, which generally affects acquisition, which makes her Ishes Yishu Kenekan, and therefore it should also affect acquisition here. Well, it says, what about the fact that the common denominator of money and bia is that for the benefit? Shtar can release a Yiddish frui from the woman in the form of a get. And then the Gemara says, so the common denominator is that they generally affect acquisition, and they affect acquisition here with regards to Kidushin. So too, I will bring chuppah, which generally affects acquisition. Therefore, it should also affect acquisition here. So where it says what about the fact the common denominator of all three is that and that they affect certain situations against her will. A get bia in the case of Yivama and in regards to kesef of Amma Ivria will affect against a woman's will. Therefore, the mode of a chuppah cannot be derived from these methods, as a chuppah is only effective with the woman's enter willingly. So it says, in response to this claim, Rav Huna will say, with regards to marriage, we have not found a case in regards to money against her will. So it's possible to learn from these modes of kesef, shtar, and bia that chuppah is kaina. I have two chuvas. Number one, Number one, the Mishnah says 3 and not 4. Another thing, Rava disagrees that the main point of the proof, which is based on the fact that a chuppah can be is gamer, klum chuppah gemer alaydi kedushin. Doesn't entering of a chuppah of a marriage only by means of Kidushin. Can one learn that chuppah affects acquisition with Kidushin from the case of entering a chuppah that affects acquisition by means of Kidushin? Entering a wedding in other words, entering chuppah without Kidushin doesn't work. So the Abai says, that the Mishnah says that this that we say shalish not for non tana milsa d'ksiva behedik tani. So first of all, the Tana is teaching only a thing that is explicitly written in the Torah, and milsa d'ksiva behedik tani, and that which is not written in the Torah, such as chuppah, we don't say that. In regards to you say that doesn't chuppah complete the marriage only by means of Kiddushin, this is what Rav Huna means. If money, which does not complete a marriage after money, in other words, a woman has been mikudeshes through money in addition to a gift, cannot make her a full-fledged woman. Which does anything should take, does not make sense that it should take effect to be used as a reform Kiddushin. Now, after discussing the Mekedes for the modes of acquisition listed in the Mishnah, the Gemara analyzes the halacha in great detail. How is Kiddushin of Kesef done? He gives either money or the value of money and says, you are hereby betrothed to me. You are hereby married to me. Into you are a wife. This is Kidushin. But if she is the one who gave the money to him, Amra he, and she says, Harini Mukadeshas Lacha, I am Mukadeshas to you, Harini Meireshas Lacha, I am Meireshas to you, Harini Licha into I am hereby to you as a wife, then any Mukadeshas, this is not a Mukadeshas, this is not a good betrothal. Maskala of Papa, so the Papa objects to this. The Brisa contains a contradiction. The first part of the Brisa says if a man gave a woman money and said to her, you are Mukadeshas to me, so time it denotes on Huvar Malu, which is mashma he gave it and he said it, so that is Mekudeshes, which would imply Hanasan who. If he gave Amri and she said any Mekudeshes. However, Seifa, he should not leave Amri, if she gave it and she said it, Kidushin, which you could derive from here, time the Nasna he Amrahi, Mashma, the only reason why it doesn't work is because she gave it and she said it. Who Nasan who Amrahi, if he gave it and she said it, have a Kidushin. So the Gemara says Reisha Dafka. The first clause of the Brisa is exact, and therefore it's correct to be mashma that which is not explicitly stated from the ruling. Seifa Kadinaspa, and the later clause of the Brisa, which was cited for no reason. In other words, it was simply formulated in the opposite manner from the first clause. The Brisa is not exact in the wording of the case. Therefore, one should not analyze this clause too carefully and learn halachas. Tani Seifa Milsa. So the Gemara asks, "V'tani Seifa Milsa the Sosri Le'Reisha," and would the Brisa teach the later clause, which would come out to contradict the first clause? So this is what the Brisa means to say. Nasan hu v'amrahu, if he gave it and he said it, she's David Kidushin, for sure it's Kidushin. Nasan hu v'amrahi, if he gave it and she said Nasa Kamishin Nasan he v'amrahi, it's like she gave it and she said it, v'lev Kidushin, it's not a Kidushin. Or Nasan hu v'amrahu mikudashes, and Nasan he v'amrahi and mikudashes, Nasan hu v'amrahi, if he gave it and she said it, Sveikihi v'chashinim midrabanan, we are uncertain, and midrabanan we are concerned that this might actually be mikudashes. Amar Shmuel says, B'Kidushin, with regards to Kidushin, Nasan lo, Kesef or Shavik Kesef, if he gave her Kidushin, Kesef or Shavik Kesef, Amar lo, Hariat Mikudashes, Hariat Medesa, Hariat into, Harizum Mikudashes, Any Isha, Harini Bailach, Harini Nesus, Inkan Beis Michish, there's no room for concern her. In these cases, there's no possibility that it might be a valid Kidushin, as Kidushin is effective only if its formulation defines the relationship in terms of the woman's connection to the man and not the reverse. Chem Begershin, so in regards to a divorce, Nasan lo, Amar lo, if he gave it to her and said, Hariat Mishulachas, Hariat Mikudashes, you are hereby divorced, you are hereby permitted to marry any man, then she is divorced. However, if he said, I am not your woman, man, I am not your husband, I am not your Rusich, then income based makers, there's no room of concern, as a get is effective only if it's a formulation that defines the relationship in terms of the woman's connection to the man, not the reverse. So Abai says, remember the Sover Shmuel Yadayim, is this Shmuel holds that an ambiguous incomplete expression that could be understood only from the context are considered like an ambiguous intimations. In the cases listed by Shmuel, the woman is Mekudeshes despite the fact that the man did not say, you are hereby Mekudeshes to me, but merely says, you are Mekudeshes. The statement itself does not indicate that detail that the speaker intends to betroth her to himself. Yet Shmuel maintains that Kiddushin is valid. Now, but we learned in the Mishnah, if a person says, I shall be, is a nazar. But we ask, maybe it means tainus. Who show you nazar over the fun of, which is mashma. And what does Shmuel say that a nazar has to pass by you, which is mashma. Time the nazar over the fun of. The only reason why it works is because a nazar was passing by you. So we say when he says it means the nazar. But if not so, loy, then his statement would not be considered a nazar vow. This indicates that according to Shmuel, ambiguous statements are not considered like an ambiguous intimidation. So the Gemara says, we're talking about the Amar Lis and what's he teaching us? Hani, so the Gemara answers that these is the last expression are what it teaches us. The Chidush of Shmuel's statement is that with regard to the second set of pronouncements, there is no concern that a valid Kiddushin divorce might have been performed. The Gemara says that here in the case of Kiddushin is written when a man takes a woman, which is mashma that a man is acting to change the status of the woman. And here it says, and not that he sends her, and it's not written that he sends himself from her, and in that case, and in this case of the one who says, I am not your man.